Right, let's go through an exam question again. Let's hit some formula transposition this time. Right, so what we're going to be looking at is two questions, and we're going to fly through these quite quickly. One gets more difficult than the other. Let's go. So, here we go. So, P equals V squared divided by R. We're being asked to make V the subject to this formula. Right, okay. So, let's deal with what's below the divisor line when we start. Well, let's identify where our value is. We want the V on its own. It's above here, okay? So let's do this. Below the divisor line first, let's get rid of this to free it from where it's trapped. We're currently dividing by R, so let's multiply by R. On both sides, remember, to balance the equation. So we're being left now with PR equals V squared. How did we get that? Because we had P, multiplied it by R, which gives us P multiplied by R. We had V squared divided by R. We've applied a multiplication of R to this, which is the opposite of divide. It's cancelled it out. Okay, let's do step 2 then. So we still want the V on its own, and it's got this square attached to it. We don't want this. So what's the opposite of square? Square root. So let's apply square root to both sides and see what we end up with here. So we're going to end up with the square root of PR is equal to V. Okay, so let's flip it round so we look smart. V equals the square root of PR. Correct. Right, no problem. Let's move on to the next one then. A little bit more complex. So, looks intimidating straight away, this one, because there's a lot involved in it, but it's easier than we think. We've just got to deal with it step by step and remember what we can and can't do. Okay, so we're being asked to make VL the subject. Let's follow our steps and identify where that is. So here it is. VL is down here, trapped amongst all this below the divisor line. Okay, so let's decide what we can do. And remember, to start with, we can move stuff as chunks. So we could move this on its own if we like, this VL. We can move it to this side, we can cancel it out here, or we could do the VL and the cos if we wanted to together, put brackets around it and move it together. Let me show you what I mean. So if we isolate this in brackets, the VL, like this, what we're saying is that P currently is being divided by VL. Once we've isolated this, that's what's happening, isn't it? We can see that P is being divided by VL. So the opposite of dividing by VL will be multiplying by VL. So we can move it and get rid of it by doing this. So what we're going to be left with now, we're going to have IB VL, aren't we? Because we had IB on its own. Now we've multiplied it by VL. So we've got IB VL equals what? So it's going to equal P divided by the square root of 3. Because we've still got the square root of 3 there. We've moved this VL by multiplying. We've got rid of it. So all we're going to have is a square root of 3 by cos phi there. Okay, perfect. So we've got rid of this VL from here, down here on this side. And we've flipped it over to this side by isolating it there and doing the opposite of what's happening to it. Okay, so we're not finished just yet though, are we? Because we've still got this IB next to the VL. We want to get rid of that. So currently it's IB multiplied by VL. The opposite of multiplying by IB is going to be divide by IB, okay, isn't it? Divide by IB this side, divide by IB on this side. And what's that going to leave us with? That's going to leave us with VL on its own. Okay, so we're nearly there. And what's this side look like now? Let's go for it. This P's still there, done nothing to that. The square root of 3, that's still there, didn't touch that. Multiplied by cos phi, that's still there, we don't mind that being there, nothing's happened to that so far. And then what else has happened? We're divided by IB. Okay, so we've got to add this onto the end now, haven't we? Okay, so divided by IB at the end there. Right, let's analyse what's actually happened here to think of a quicker way we could have done this. We did it in 2 steps. There's 1, 2, which is not too bad considering it's quite a big formula. We've transposed it, so we've got VL as a subject in 2 steps. So let's look at what's happened though. We had IB as a subject, yeah, and we wanted VL. So all that's actually happened if you come down is IB and VL have just swapped around. So what was below the divisor line, we've just grabbed it and we've just swapped it over to this side here. That's the quicker way of doing that. If you remember that for an exam or other similar formulas, if something's below here, you can just flip it onto be the subject and move this one down here. Because that's all that's happened, isn't it? Look, IB is now down here, where VL was. And VL is now up here, where the IB was as a subject. Yeah? So take it step by step, go back through the original transposing formula videos, which are real basic ones, and then build your way up to this one. And come and ask me if you've got any questions.